Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to part 2 as we leave the old Hackney St Augustine's, which became St John's, behind. We leave old and we enter into the new. Now, as I said in the St Augustine's bit, the church authorities purchased 2 fields which belonged to a tallow chandler and a butcher, and in those 2 fields they extended the churchyard, and the church itself got a complete rebuild. Once it had been rebuilt, and we're just getting our first glimpses of it now, once it had been rebuilt, they pulled everything but the tower of St Augustine's down from 1797 to 98. This church didn't get its own bell tower until 1812 because they ran out of money before the building could be completely finished, and the bells, the 8 bells of Hackney, weren't moved from that tower and to here until 1852. That's because when they built the tower originally in 1812, it was kind of rushed and wasn't very well underpinned and wouldn't have taken the great weight of the 8 bells of Hackney. So our medieval structure, which has stood strong through so much, well, it certainly nodded its cap at the this modern newcomer, didn't it? And now I'm going to take you to the walled garden, which is nice and quiet. Because it leads us from old into new. And we get some of the history as well while we're here, which is handy for me, because it means it's a little bit less research at the end of all this, because there's a big churchyard tour series, and it's fascinating because with a lot of the graves there are notice boards like these, and on quite a few of them there are pictures of the people in the graves. The walled garden, this land was bought as part of the churchyard expansion in 1790, where plans were drawn up to build the new St John-at-Hackney Church. By 1859 the churchyard was declared full, and this photograph of 1884 shows how densely the ground was covered with graves and tombs. In 1964 the walled garden was constructed to a design which was characteristic of the period, with paths laid out in smooth flowing curves and a kidney-shaped pond with a fountain and formal raised rose beds. The new garden was well regarded and received a civic trust award. As part of the Heritage Lottery Fund, funded the restoration of the churchyard. In 2006 the walled garden was enhanced with works to the fountain, shelter and installation to a new playground and additional new planting. Here's the walled garden as it appeared in 1964. It's a nice little area, and it's a beautifully hot sunny day. It's only just turned 9 and it's viciously warm already. There's another information board over here. Bear this in mind: Lydice Garden of Remembrance, 25th anniversary, 1967. Because this is what we're heading towards now. The Lydice Garden of Remembrance. Lydice or Lidis, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. This garden commemorates the people who died in the Lidis or Lydice massacre during the German occupation of Czechoslovakia in World War II. On the 10th of June 1942, Nazi forces systematically destroyed the village of Lidis or Lydice, and 340 of the 503 villagers died, with the entire town being razed to the ground. The destruction of the town shocked the world, and the name of Lidis or Lydice became a symbol for all civilian victims of war around the world. In 1955, a garden of peace and friendship was opened in Lidis, planted with roses donated from 31 countries. In the same spirit of peace and remembrance, gardens all over the world have been dedicated to the memory of the Lidis massacre. The garden you see today was planted out in 2006 and replaces the Ledis Garden of Remembrance, opened close by in the churchyard on the 10th of June 1967, the 25th anniversary of the tragedy. And this photograph of the village of Ledis before and after destruction in 1942. That's the before. And that's it afterwards. There's nothing left. That's horrific. Right, I'm going to walk you over this way because I don't like to film people without their consent, so I'll point you up and you get some views of the church this way. It's directly behind me now is a children's playground, so and here is the newer church of Hackney St John that was built to replace the old one. We've already discussed why. There we are, I can point you this way now. Isn't going at the moment, but here is its water fountain, kidney shaped. Just has little like jets that come out there. I shall walk you round it. And to the church that replaced the old one. Here you see it. Until it went up in 1792, was consecrated in 1797, until 1812 and 1813 it didn't get a bell tower or its porches. They were added, the bell tower in 1812 and the porches in 1813. Some buildings bricked up their windows years ago to avoid the much dreaded window tax. The first stone of this building was laid in the year 1792 and the church consecrated and opened for divine service on the 15th day of July 1797. The steeple and porches were added in the years 1812 and 1813. John James Watson, Doctor of Divinity Vicar. Then you've got Roger Hunt and Thomas Wright, they were the church wardens, and James Spiller, who was the architect. Here we are. Paused you for a further away shot. Bell tower, of course, added in 1812 and not able to have its bells in there until 1852 because it hadn't been underpinned properly. Alright, that's alright. That's okay. And before we go in, some historical images and information. Before we see inside, that is. So join me for that. And from this image of 1812, here you see new and old side by side, with the new church of St John-at-Hackney on the left, next to the old church of St Augustine's, or its tower, which is known as St Augustine's Bell Tower now. The old church of St Augustine's got a name change in the 1660s from St Augustine's, which they thought was too Catholic, to the church of St John the Evangelist. When the new church was built, which you've seen and you're going to see inside, that church was named for St John the Baptist. And I wanted to share this one today. I normally try and keep them on a Sunday because today is St John's Day. So here you see it in 1812, and at this point it hadn't got its bell tower or porches, the new church. St John-at-Hackney is a Grade II listed Anglican church in the heart of the London Borough of Hackney, with a large capacity of around 2,000. It was built in 1792 to replace Hackney's medieval parish church, of which St Augustine's Tower is the only part that remains on the edge of the original old churchyard. The Church of St John at Hackney was designed by James Spiller. Work began in 1792 and the main structure took more than 2 years to complete. The church was finally consecrated on the 15th of July 1797. Harry Sedgwick, a trustee, oversaw a subscription of planting of the churchyard of 129 subscriptions, which enabled 200 elms and horse chestnuts to be planted in avenues. Sedgwick was later buried in the churchyard, and his planting achievement is commemorated on his tomb. Bear that name in mind, as we will be seeing that tomb if you follow the churchyard tour. The churchyard closed to new burials in 1859, with only burials in private family graves or vaults which still had room in them being allowed after that point, after which the churchyard became somewhat overgrown and derelict. It was laid out by the Metropolitan Public Gardens Association, by landscape gardener Fanny Wilkinson, which included the demolition of Henry Rowe's 1614 mortuary chapel, and opened for the public recreation in 1894. In 1902, the church was renovated and had electric lights installed. The repairs and alterations costing £1,823 at the time. And here you see the church not long after those repairs were done. In the 1920s, the roof, which was becoming structurally unstable, the church was forced to temporarily close, with the timbers being shored up with scaffolding. The roof was reconstructed in 1929. The repairs to the roof had not entirely fixed the problem of the 1920s, and further reconstruction work was scheduled for the summer of 1954, which was scheduled for completion on the 19th of May 1955. Here's an interesting image I wanted to show you. It's Tank Day, Stoke Newington. 16th of March 1918 had not entirely fixed the problem of the 1920s of 1954. On the 18th of May 1955, a fire started in the church in the roof amongst the workmen's tools, destroying the roof, some of the new pews that were added in 1799, and the organ, also 1799, by George Pike. During the ensuing major reconstruction work, there was some reordering of the interior, including the insertion of a partition at the south end of the nave of the church to create a Herdman Hall. A replacement 3 manual Mander organ came from All Saints Ennismore, Gardens in Kensington, all to hangings designed for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II at Westminster Abbey were donated, and the east window was replaced by a new one designed by Christopher Webb. The new church was reconsecrated on the 24th of June 1958, St John's Day. With the fabric of the church still requiring significant maintenance, a multi-million-pound restoration project began in 2018, which aimed to reconfigure the church to its original Greek cross plan, reconnecting the church with its original architectural language, and providing more space for a range of activities, including church services and the use as a music venue. The new features included the creation of 2 new chapels in the north and south wings and a raised stage for the new facilities. The 2 little chapels in the north and south wings are where a lot of the old memorials that were taken out of the old St Augustine's Church are. As well as a thriving parish church, St John-at-Hackney has also become known as a notable music venue, playing host to the likes of Coldplay, Ed Sheeran, Emily Sandé, Robbie Williams, and in 2019 the church opened new community facilities in the adjacent Hackney Gardens development to enable its growth and outreach work and activity. The church reopened for worship and live events in September of 2020 and has since welcomed thousands of people through its doors. These are just pictures from the church's website, credit to them, of some of the events that have taken place here. Now, shall we go inside? And welcome to inside the new Church of Hackney St John's, looking at some of the old Church of Hackney St John's with these memorials that were moved. This one is Cecily, Richard, Edgware, Christopher and Thomas, Catherine, Cecil, Lucy, Mildred, Mary, Susanna, Elizabeth, Dorothy and Francis, Charles and Henry Danvers, Anne, Lucy, Eleanor and Mary Danvers. I'll take photos and you can see separate images of those. Just pause you a sec while we go outside or into the main body of the church. And here we are inside the new Hackney St John's.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay.
for a very important part of the church's history, lest we forget. John James Watson is Archdeacon of St Albans and Rector of Hackney. Interesting man. You'll be seeing and learning more about him if you watch the churchyard tour. Now the altar screen is quite a thing of beauty. Oh, jump. That really is lovely, that. That'll be the 10 Commandments up there. Some more memorials over here. I am sorry if I have to move the phone suddenly. I have had a few comments about that on YouTube, and it's generally done to avoid filming people.
Interesting. The main thing is we haven't got
There's a lovely stained glass window over here that I didn't notice. Just there. And another memorial just over here. Lieutenant Harry Bingley Cedric of the 5th Regiment of Foot, the only son of Harry Cedric, Esquire, of Homerton, whose ardent military career was suddenly terminated on the 2nd of June 1811 by a cannon shot from the castle of the Badajoz in Spain, while besieged by the British troops under the command of the illustrious Wellington. In the plenitude of youth, health and spirits, he was totally unconscious of his near approach from eternity, obedient in the act of giving orders in his men in one of the trenches, when his country lost a gallant defender at the early age of 23.
American Independence Day, yeah, American Independence. And then, so for the July, morning festival, July the 29th. Oh, she knows more than I know her, because my friend is also the same. Libra. Oh, you're Libra. Oh, it's not moonstone. What is it?
No, Woodstone's different.
I want moonstone last week. No, sandstone.
I have some earrings.
This is sandstone. This is sandstone. This is from this American. You know Western American?
I can't think of the name now.
Because they have a lot of money. So business. We know better. So
Yeah, I have pendants and I have some earrings in that stone.
yeah, but sometimes you look for it, you know, you imagine. Yeah, when she was saying about somebody's husband, and I usually.
As we leave the main body of the church behind. It's font.
I met Dylan at HTV through his dad. Oh my gosh,
Other one. Thanks very much. Thank you. And these are some of its old memorials and its old font. And these are what were moved from the old church. I think this is Christopher. Yeah, this is Christopher Erswick. Christopher Erswick. He was priest and confessor to Lady Margaret Beaufort, My Lady the King's mother. I am photographing these as we go along. Sorry about that. So I can photograph and film at the same time, it makes it easier for me. John Worthington, DD. If you wish to read the inscriptions in full, see the photographs that will hit the page. Now, this is, if my memory serves me right, Henry Esquire. Henry Bannister Esquire and his wife Catherine. Oh. That must be down into the crypt, I assume. Henry Lord Percy, Earl of Northumberland, KC. Died at his manor in Hackney. And you've got all these ones up here, which I'll photograph in sets of two. Or one in that case, as there's only one on the end. That's its old font. And this is one of the old medieval tomb slabs from in the old St Augustine's Church. And you will now join me over that side over there. So I'll pause you a minute. And we are back where we began, in one of these side aisles, but they take you up to somewhere interesting. So that's where we shall go. Back in the original day, when this church was built, we are now going up to where the posh people with money would have sat. See the church from above and its original pews. You see the pews are all gone down below, but these ones are original. These flags are all here because today is Windrush Day, which celebrates or commemorates the Empire Windrush ship when it came to England from the Caribbean, with a lot of people on board in the ideas of bringing in labour to England and London. And a lot of those people were treated pretty shittily, if I'm honest with you, pardon my language, inside a church. Even not welcome in some churches. So, that's a shame, isn't it? And also, tomorrow is an important day for this church, because it's the feast day of St John the Baptist, who this church is named for. So, I hope you've all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and you'll now join me outside for something nice. Hope you all enjoyed the tour of both churches. Thanks very much for watching, and if churchyard tours are your thing, please join me for that now.